Welcome, everyone, to the Redzone Rewind, where we talk everything and all things NFL. I am Jake Schulz.
I'm Zulfi Sheikh.
Back in the studio after a week off. No Mike Collins here, back with my regular host. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back. I was in Titans country, caught a Tennessee Titans game, and then walloped the Cincinnati Bengals. We can talk about the Bengals another time, but I just want to say shout out Titans fans. You guys were awesome.
Not shout out them this week. They did not look very good this week.
But that's also just the Titans, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Up one week, down the other week. No clue what that team is. Why don't we get into a new segment? We talked about the weekend of chaos the one week. This is the weekend of the IR because so many players are just, whether they're going on the IR for part-time or full-time. Since we last talked to you guys, 4 people have been gone on the IR, out for the season. Christian Gonzalez of the New England Patriots, the very promising young cornerback, out for the season. Matt Milano and Daquan Jones, 2 very important parts of the Bills' defense, out for the season. Elijah Vera Tucker, probably the most important part of the Jets' offensive line, out for the season. As well, 4 stud players. Justin Jefferson, the heart and soul of the Minnesota Vikings, out for 4 weeks, could be more. Devon Achane, the emerging running back for the Miami Dolphins, out for 4 weeks, could be more. Anthony Richardson, the young promising quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
So wait, let me guess. Out for a long time.
Out for 4 weeks. Could be 8, though. And James Conner, no surprise there, out for 4 weeks. He just cannot stay healthy, just as I traded for him in fantasy. Thank you, James Conner. I appreciate that so much. Zulfi, let's talk about these here. What do you think is the most devastating injury, and to what team?
Look, where I'm going to start off, the most devastating injury is my ego, because since we've been doing this show, everyone just seems to keep getting hurt,
guys,
and I don't know why.
Please.
I'm sorry. Don't cancel the show.
No.
We promise there's still good football to be had. But on a serious note, you mentioned it, Matt Milano. I'm going with his injury with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills defense has, I don't want to say they've been cursed, but it just has not looked good for them with the injuries they've had. They have 6 guys on IR, including Daquan Jones, like you mentioned, Matt Milano, and this isn't even mentioning Tre'Davious White from before.
No.
Their defense is what put this team in the upper echelon. We know what this offense can do with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the rest of those guys. But their defense, when it's good, is what helps this team kind of stay at the top and compete against the Chiefs and the other teams in the AFC, especially if they want to make a run at a Super Bowl. If they get there facing an NFC juggernaut like the 49ers, for example, they're going to need a good defense. And right now, with those injuries going on, you don't know what kind of defense you're going to get. Their secondary seems to be decimated after injuries. You don't know what you're getting with a first-round pick, Kaiir Elam, and what he's going to do as a cornerback. And you just have so many questions now around this team. I think Matt Milano was one of the steadying forces for this ball club, and he was just taking care of things in the middle for them. And now you don't have that guy. It's like, where are you going to go? What's going to happen? Will other guys have to step up? Obviously, but can they be that leader and the type of voice that Matt Milano was? And he was balling out, don't get me wrong. He was also doing a lot on the field. So losing him, this defense has a lot to figure out now, and I think it's just going to hurt them a ton.
It's an all-pro for a reason.
Yeah.
That is a devastating injury, especially going off the back of Tre'Davious White last week. The Buffalo Bills, after we sung their praises last week, came out, look a little rough in London. You could say that they came a little late on their travel, came Friday. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 wins in a row now in London. Should they just stay there permanently?
Man, I if you asked me this question like 5 years ago, I would laugh and say that it's just a dumb thing to even consider. But with the NFL going so crazy into expansion, wanting to grow the game, they're having all the international games, and the fact that they genuinely have a fan base out in London and people will sell out that stadium, it's worth considering. Obviously, it's just going to come down to travel and logistics of that. How could they make that work? I don't know. Maybe I've seen it in other sports where they just play the first half of the season on the road, the second half of the season at home. That puts them at a bit of a disadvantage, you could say, in the first half of their schedule because they're all on the road. But, hey, if you want to grow the game, that would be a great way to do it, and at least you know you'd have a dedicated fan base out there in London. I think it's a fun idea to think about.
Why don't we talk about the primetime games? Because there was a bit that happened with the regular season games. I mean, Steelers and Ravens. Steelers just came back after the Ravens cannot catch a ball.
Nope,
not much else to say out of that. The Bears and Commanders is the first primetime game.
I refuse to talk about that game. That was so bad.
Shout out DJ Moore. That is one of the best performances I've seen from a wide receiver in a long time. I guess since Tyreek Hill in week 1. But for someone who has...
It's a really long time.
Yeah, for someone who was very middling last year with bad quarterback play to finally come out and to have a connection built with Justin Fields to see that connection. This is what they were promised from week 1. They promised all offseason. It's good to finally see that happen. And Justin Fields, keep playing like that, maybe he'll still be a starting quarterback next year.
What I do want to say about that game and about the Chicago Bears, I did rip on them last time I was on here.
Yeah,
it's funny. I did. And I still don't think they're great, but I will say, when that trade happened with the Carolina Panthers and they got Bryce Young out of it, you probably thought the Panthers were winning that trade, or at least they got a fair deal out of it. Looking back, I feel like most people can say the Chicago Bears got a way better deal in that trade, especially if they get the Panthers pick, which is looking like it's going to be 1 or 2. So the Bears could have 2 first, like the first and second overall pick. And they have DJ Moore, who seems to have a connection with Justin Fields. It seems like the Chicago Bears front office actually pulled something off there. So credit to them.
Credit to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase also finding their connection back again.
Finally.
2 wins in a row. Doesn't look like they're going to be tanking. The New England Patriots, 34-0 at the Saints. Yeah, Good stuff. Let's talk about the main
Mac Jones, not that guy. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, not that guy.
Let's talk about the main primetime game this week, because we hyped it up last week as probably the biggest game of the season, and it delivered on points, just not the way we thought it was going to be. 42-10 for the San Francisco 49ers. Dak Prescott, 3 interceptions on the night as they get steamrolled.
Yeah.
What is this Cowboys team?
A big question mark. Nobody knows what this Cowboys team is, and we've heard it from so many other places. It just comes down to Dak Prescott. It's so boring to say it, but that is the truth. The defense, you know what they can be. They've had injuries, so you can give them a little bit of an excuse, but you still have guys like Micah Parsons out there who can be a game breaker. I will also say, Micah, just get off the mic. Don't go on your podcast.
Yeah,
you just sound kind of silly
and
bitter. The whole, like, now he's beefing with George Kittle, and he said, this is going to be personal. You can't say that after you get stomped by like 30 points. It falls on deaf ears, Micah.
He's 0-3 in his career against them, too.
Yeah, so like if it's personal, it should have been personal about 3 games ago. But it's not for some reason. It's personal now. We'll see what happens. I still think the 49ers would stomp them. But about the Cowboys, that defense, you know what they can do. This offense has the weapons to be able to perform. You have Tony Pollard, you have CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott should be that guy. But his problem is he's not a game breaker. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not even a Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence. But he's also not a game manager, like his counterpart in this game, Brock Purdy, who seems to be the perfect quarterback for a Kyle Shanahan offense. Yeah. People are saying Purdy is showing signs of early Tom Brady. That's how well he runs his offense. I'm not saying he's going to be that guy, but he is clearly somebody who can run an offense for a coach and do it the right way and follow the game plan. I don't know if you want to blame Mike McCarthy as much as Dak Prescott. I'm sure you could, because I know you've lamented about their red zone. But clearly, a lot of the... No, it hasn't been better, and that's part of it too. But Dak Prescott clearly is a part of this. He is somewhere in between being a game manager and trying to be a risky player, but he doesn't do any of them exceptionally well right now, unfortunately. So I don't know where this team goes with Dak Prescott, and that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion.
It's his last year as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think he's getting another shot after this. It's how many years of the Dak experiment is this now? Year 7?
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. We know what Dak Prescott is. He is a quarterback that is a good quarterback, but will never get you over that edge. And it's the same thing this year. They're not going to go anywhere near the Super Bowl. Everyone's saying, Super Bowl contenders. And then the second they play 2 real games against 2 real teams, they get killed each time.
They lost to the Cardinals.
Well, yeah, true. I guess you can't say it's a real team, but yeah.
But that's the thing. Like you have like decent performances, but then you lose to the Cardinals, and then you take on a real team, which like if you lost, fair play, it's the 49ers. But if you're in that game, it makes a big difference. It reminds you that they're legit and they can compete. But to get stomped like that, it just shows your levels below this 49ers team. But then if your levels below them and you lose to teams like the Cardinals, then where are you really?
I don't know. I chalk a lot of this up also to not giving to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
He has not been over 50 yards receiving the past 2 weeks. He has 4 catches. He only has 1 game over 4 catches this entire season.
That's not acceptable.
That is not okay. Tony Pollard had 8 carries on that game. That is not acceptable. Mike McCarthy, do something. This is you guys' last shot. You can't keep doing this. This is a back and forth seesaw. You can't keep doing this.
Yeah, you said it was Dak's last effort. It's also Mike McCarthy's, I think. I think if they don't have a good season, you have another guy waiting there in the trenches, in Dan Quinn. You know how it went with the Falcons in that Super Bowl and whatnot, but they went to the Super Bowl with Dan Quinn. They had an elite team. Yes, you had Kyle Shanahan running the offense, but the defense was doing enough. The defense was balling out for most of that Super Bowl until they got tired and had to stay on the field for the entire time. But then Dan Quinn has also come in and immediately made this defense legit in Dallas. And Dallas Cowboys fans love him for that. I'm sure Jerry Jones loves him for that. If he comes in and takes over this team, I think there's a lot of fans who would be okay with that happening, especially with the way Mike McCarthy's going. So Mike McCarthy, you are fighting for your job right now because they have somebody ready to replace you who could have gotten a job last season very likely, but chose to stay with this Dallas team. So do something about it.
Talk about love a lot. Let's talk about what fans are not loving, and that's Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. horrible performance. 16 of 30, 182 yards, 3 interceptions. His QBR is going down. He had a 7-point QBR last week. It was 13 this week. 2 horrible performances in a row from a quarterback that we really liked in the first week.
Yeah.
Has been terrible.
Look, I just think Jordan Love is trying to do too much with too little. We know he's not getting much help. We know he's getting pressured like crazy. Unfortunately, that just means you have to be smart and take a sack sometimes. Don't just try to throw deep balls and force the issue. That's what this Packers team is. It's not sexy, and it's not going to be. Jordan Love, I know you think you may have the talent for it, and by all means you might, but that's just not where this team is at talent-wise right now, and you're going to have to go through these growing pains. The only problem is if you try going through these growing pains by taking these risks, you're going to lose the fan base. And when you lose the fan base, you lose the locker room eventually, then you're not going to have that leash that you want to have as a young guy growing in this league. You're not going to be Aaron Rodgers, especially not right away. But these fans are used to having competent quarterback play, so you just have to play it safe and keep it simple. This Raiders team should not have beat you guys. Quite honestly, I think this defense for the Packers is good enough for them to have won this game, especially with how close it was. But Jordan Love can't shoot them in the foot by having 3 interceptions. And I know they weren't all his fault, but he's just playing a bit too out of his comfort zone right now, and I need him to just reel it back in.
Yeah, I'm not ready to give up on Jordan Love. I think there's a lot of people that are willing to ship him off. It's a couple bad performances. It happens. I get they want instant success because this is what Green Bay is known for. It's the same with the New England Patriots with Mac Jones. Everyone's expecting pure success right off the bat. Now with Mac Jones, it's now become a point where you can't not be getting benched 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to give up on Jordan Love yet. I think that you gotta right the ship, just let it sail, see what happens, ride the waves, because this is what makes quarterbacks better, is when they have this adversity and they're able to overcome it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was picking the Packers to win the Super Bowl this season anyways, but like I said, you just don't want to lose the locker room and the fan base in the process of trying to get better.
Yeah. Looking forward to this week. There is a couple matchups that I want to highlight just before we let you guys go. The Buccaneers and Lions. You might not expect this to be a good matchup. It could be. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. I like what they're putting out. It could be a fun game to watch because this is how bad the schedule is this week. It is not very good. You want to watch the Giants and Bills in prime time? No, I don't think anyone wants to watch that, especially with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley not going to be playing. Cowboys and Chargers could be a good match. Probably won't. It's not that close.
Probably going to be a bit of a shootout, to be honest.
And nothing caps it off better than the Broncos and the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football, once again sending Al Michaels into a deeper pit of depression.
Yeah, no one wants to watch that. I don't think there's going to be anything close about that game. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, you guys are both fighting for your jobs, in my opinion.
Sean Payton's going back into retirement. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All Sean Payton has done since he left the Saints is film a Netflix special and then come back to the Broncos crapping on the coach that then beat you last week. And now you and Russell Wilson are beefing on the sidelines. Sean Payton, what are you doing?
Shout out Nathaniel Hackett. That's going to wrap it up for the Redzone Rewind for this week. For Jake and Zulfi, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to watch all the other videos, click that subscribe button and look around. You'll find them everywhere. We got the 2-minute warning and mics at the table coming up for you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.